Hello, this is Tom Brewer, president of your Charlotte Firefighters Association, Local 660. I want to give everybody an update as to what has been going on. Last week, we had voting at the Union Hall. We had two measures on the ballot. One was to disaffiliate with the state association, the Professional Firefighters and Paramedics of North Carolina. That did it. The membership voted to disaffiliate. It passed by only one vote. So your vote does matter. We talk a lot about making your voice heard. Make sure you vote. It was that close, folks. The other ballot measure was to allow county personnel into Local 660, and that measure failed. So again, the measure to disaffiliate, it did pass. So we will be disaffiliating with the Professional Firefighters and Paramedics of North Carolina, and the motion to allow the ballot measure to allow the bylaw change to allow others in did not pass. So we have heard that there are those in the state that are questioning whether we held a real election, kind of the same thing they did the last time, where they questioned how we came to select our DVP. We gave proper notification, and if they want to challenge it, that's within their rights. But we believe it was an election. Elections matter. Having your voice heard matters, and our members spoke. So the other thing we want to talk about is some disinformation. Last week, the Parker Poe, sent stuff out, and the fire chief sent the information out to the fire department regarding Rule 9. So we are working with attorneys on a response to that measure. But there's a couple things we want everybody to be very keenly aware of in what was put in that report by Parker Poe. Let's start with who did the report. Parker Poe and Mac McCarley. Mac McCarley is a former city attorney. Why is that important? He's the same city attorney who was representing the city as the city attorney during the P.Y. Johnson lawsuit, which resulted in a promotional lawsuit and her being rightfully promoted. When you look at what they wrote, I want everybody to ask themselves a question. Why didn't he bring any of this up when he was city attorney? After they lost that lawsuit, why didn't they go back and amend the promotional process rules? It's only after 20 years when he's being paid by a subject, by the city to give a legal review, not a legal opinion, a review as to Rule 9, that they came up with these measures why it's not valid. Why didn't he make those? Why didn't they do that 20 years ago? After they lost the case, why didn't they do a legal review? If it was wrong then, why wasn't it wrong now? Why did it take 20 years to craft this argument? I don't know. Is this another one of the city's tactics where they defend their measures at all costs? Just like everything else, we told you specifically how the city responds to things. When we question things, they defend everything. We just went through a 4-month process with an HR task force, and lo and behold, they didn't do anything wrong. On the Firefighter 2 process, even when we brought up the point that they didn't follow their own rules, and then they went back and tried to backdate the policy to make it fit. Let me repeat that. The fire department went back and tried to backdate a policy to make it fit into when the promotional process was done. Their rationale was it was a clerical error. No accountability. We're always told about how we're going to have accountability at all levels. No one was held accountable for that. But yet if you went and did something wrong on a test, or if you did something wrong there, you're held accountable. You're not promoted. You may get in trouble, but there's never any accountability at the top. And that starts with the city manager's office and works its way down. And again, you don't have to like what we're saying or even how we're saying it, but those are facts. Every time we raise an issue, and all we've ever asked is them to follow their own rules. All they ever do is come up with some rationale to justify what they did. Oh, it was a clerical error. Oh, 20 years later, Rule 9 is not valid. Don't have to follow it. Well, let's look at else what that report said. That report also said if you're going to have a rule, you have to follow it. For the last several years, the fire department has made it clear. The HR director has made it clear to the Civil Service Board, we're following Rule 9. They're not following Rule 9. What list have they got certified? That's just an example. Are the lists good for 6 months or a year? At the end of 6 months, does the HR director have to go and ask for the list to be extended a year? That's what the rules say. Did they do that in all the processes? Folks, those are the kind of questions we're going to ask, but it's frustrating, and this is why we all need to speak together, because they use it against us when they talk about, oh, they only represent a little over half the department, because they're trying to discredit us, to discredit the truth, the misinformation that they dispel. The other thing, and probably the most troubling thing from that report that Parker Poe, the paid-for report that had the findings that the city wanted them to find, they said that Local 660 refused to cooperate. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, city council members who are watching this, let me tell you, that is 100, and I mean 110% false. There ain't no nice way of putting it. It's a lie. We have emails and correspondence between the attorneys where our attorney was clear. If you want to see Local 660's documentation, you can come to the office and look at it. Mac McCarley and the law firm of Parker Poe said, we don't need their information. It was offered to them by myself and, more importantly, our historian, Brother Nance. We cooperated fully, off duty, did not get paid, with Parker Poe on this. We offered them the information. They refused it. And so to put in the report that we refused to work with them, it's just a lie. It is a lie. I'm not going to be sugarcoat it and say misinformation or they misspoke. We could show what it is. And it becomes incredibly frustrating. Again, these are the city's tactics. This is what they think of you. They're not lying to me personally or the Local 660, e-board members personally. We represent you. They are lying to you. That is what they think of you. But anyways, remember what they said in that report. And they are right. And we hammered that home when we spoke with them. If you say you're going to follow a rule, you have to follow it. They said they were going to follow Rule 9. Tully versus Wilmington is the case we cited, that if you're going to have a process and rules in place, you have to follow them. So there's that. The other thing we're going to do, they want to reach out and get feedback from us. So we've been doing, if you voted, we had anonymous stuff where you could get feedback on what you would like to see in the promotional process. We are also working on a survey we're going to send out to our memberships that you can respond so we can hear from you and speak on your behalf and saying, hey, this is what our members want to see. We're also going to do 2 virtual town halls, December 1st, December 2nd. We'll be sending you some information on that. We encourage all of you to participate, to call in, to email us, to text us. Let us know what you would like to see in the promotional process. So those are the kind of things Local 660 is working on now. We're a membership-driven organization, so we need your feedback. We need to hear from you. Again, we need to show that sisterhood and brotherhood and all band together and speak as one voice. There was some stuff on Facebook this week. I do want to address that as well that garnered some talk. Listen, if we're going to have discourse and difference of opinion on Facebook, that's fine. We don't all have to think the same. We don't all have to be alike. That's part of the problem we face now, not only in society, but in this department. If you have a different viewpoint, then somehow you're against someone. We're allowed to have different opinions. We have to be adult enough and professional enough to say, hey, let's sit down and talk about these differences of opinions. And that's not where we're at now. And I'm here to tell you, Local 660 will sit down and talk with anybody, anytime, any place. And not only will we give you our opinion, we'll give you facts and documents to back it all up. And that's as blunt can be. All right. Is it aggressive? Some people say it's aggressive. But again, being nice and trying to be tactful and trying to play both sides of the fence has not worked. back to my point though, is when we do it on Facebook, if we're talking with each other, let's be respectful. You can get your point across without, foul language or just throwingly, just find nice ways to say it so we can disagree, but do so in a manner that is civil in a conversation. So, and be factual. And here's the other thing, and I'm going to tell everybody right now, if you don't want to hear other people's opinion, then don't put stuff out there. Don't post. And more importantly, we took it down as soon as we saw the post. And we talked to the individual. But the other thing too is, if you're offended, we'll address it the best we can. But if you haven't been practicing the same sisterhood and brotherhood that you're preaching, you got to walk that line. You can't complain that there's no brotherhood and no sisterhood if you may be a person who got in your Class A uniform and went to the Civil Service Board and spoke against 3 brothers getting promoted because it was in your personal benefit. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. You can't text me and complain that, there's no brotherhood, there's no unity, when those are the actions that you took, that you did on your own, and still have never apologized for. So again, if you're going to do those kind of things and act in nefarious ways, don't get hurt feelings when someone calls you out on it. But if you're going to call someone out, do it in a respectful manner. I will say that. And again, sometimes we have to have these tough conversations so we can grow. If we're doing wrong, you don't have a problem telling us. So if you're doing wrong as well, then sometimes you need to hear it. Some tough love that never hurt anybody, as long as it's done with love and it's done to make someone better. Let's do it in a respectful manner. So with that being said, I've rambled on long enough. Stay strong, stay union, and be safe. Have a good day.